things off. Okay, so just to set the scene of where we are right now. Again, we've been through, and we are currently, still going through the COVID-19 pandemic. We've seen ourselves go into lockdown around the world from the spring through to the summer. We've started now, of course, through the summer into the autumn now to come out of lockdown, and now we potentially could be going back into lockdown. So it's a crazy time, lots of uncertainty. And what happens is that shifted a lot of our works, a lot of our lives, right? So not only is it affecting our personal lives, it's affecting our studies for you. So for you guys, having to study probably 90% remotely, probably may move to 100% if we see some more lockdown restrictions. But also employers and organizations have had to adapt. And we've seen lots of this over the past months, and it's going to be continuing into the coming months. So you can see here some examples. Siemens moving forwards. So even after the pandemic, they are letting staff work from anywhere that they're most productive. So if you work for Siemens, and Siemens, by the way, have internships and they have a Siemens graduate program, you no longer have to work in an office unless you want to. If you want to work at home, you can. If you want to work in a coffee shop, you can, wherever you're most productive. So that's a permanent change. So that's not just until we're out of lockdown and once we find a vaccine, they're permanently doing that. So we've seen it. We've seen a significant shift with employers. We've seen companies like Morrison's looking to move to a 4-day working week. So they're looking at that concept, and that was in reaction to coronavirus, but they're looking to have that set up in the long term. And you've got there as well, IBS staff, they're going to allow over 50,000 of their staff to work in the UK from home way into 2021. So I've got a quick question. Is the graduate practice question psychometric test on the CIMA grad card? Yes, it is. And we're going to do a few psychometric test session questions today as well for you. So yeah, we'll get into that. But the point I want to get to here is the world is changing and it's adapting, and it has been in reaction to the pandemic, but actually it's going to be our future as well. So it's our present, and it's most definitely going to be our future. So work is no longer a place. University is no longer a place. We move away from, if we think about, what you would have thought about work, okay, we're going to go and have a meeting. We'll sit in a meeting room. We move away from this now. But then this is now our reality, right? We're on Zoom, we're on MS Teams, we're on Google Hangouts, and this is how we're working with colleagues. So I want to highlight this to you because this will be your working future as well. So whether you are going in and looking for an internship or a placement year, or whether you're looking for a graduate role to start next year, you need to be conscious that your working environment may be very different to what you maybe would have anticipated it to be a year or so ago. So to be comfortable with the virtual world is really going to help you not only in your future job, but also securing your job, because the recruitment process has also gone virtual. So as you would have known, before the pandemic, you would have had things like video interviews. That's just accelerated now to the majority of interviews that you're going to have are probably going to be online, whether it's automated or whether it's face-to-face. Assessment centers now are going to be online for you. So rather than being in a room with a group of people that you don't know, you're going to be on an online session like this with a group of people that you don't know. So you need to learn to work with them in a virtual environment. So I want to highlight that because that's going to be a big part of the recruitment process for employers. They're going to move a lot of your assessments to a virtual environment. Psychometric tests, of course, online applications, video interviews, and then online assessment centers. So you may not actually physically meet someone in person to secure your job in the current market. Okay, so that's that. Let's get kicked off into CIMA. And while we're doing this session, and then we'll go into what employers want, we'll look at all of the recruitment process, psychometric tests, video interviews, and assessment centers. And of course, we'll look at a live job. So as a refresher and a reminder who CIMA are, so CIMA are the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. So we are the largest body of management accountants in the world, and we're probably the most relevant qualification for a career in business. So what do I mean by that is CIMA is not a traditional accounting qualification. So we don't train you to be a practicing accountant to work in areas like audit and taxation. We prepare you to go and work in an organization within their finance department, within their business functions, and you help them to make key informed decisions. So again, If you're interested in working in industry, so going working for a large global brand, that's where you're going to find SEMA. And we work with lots of employers. As you can see here, our members are employed by approximately 173,000 firms and employers worldwide. So that's the reach that the qualification has. It's a very reputable, it's a very globally recognized qualification. So we're pretty much almost anywhere where you want to work, you can find SEMA people working in companies and working in countries around the world, 179 countries. So if you are interested in SEMA and you are looking for reasons, you know, why would I want to do SEMA? What's it going to bring to me? This is what it is. It's about recognition. It's about prestige. So having that, becoming a chartered global management accountant and having that on your degree and having lifelong global career opportunities. That's what we offer as a professional body. As I've already alluded to, SEMA is an accounting qualification for business. So we're not signing off people's accounts and reporting on the past performance of a company. We're not traditional accountants. We're using financial information, accounting information to think forward for a business. So how can we help this business make better decisions? How can we help this business improve its performance? How can we make this business save costs in the long term? That's what management accounting, that's what SEMA is about. So if you would like to do things like you can see on the screen here, you want to guide key business decisions, you want to provide strategic advice, you want to take expertise in accounting and finance and combine that with business knowledge, that's what SEMA is about. So we bring together the financial and non-financial information to tell the story of the numbers. I think that's very important. It's not just reporting on the numbers, it's telling people across the business, what do the numbers mean? This is what they mean. This is how they can help you make a better decision. So if you're a people person, you know, you want to maybe progress to become a leader in the future, to have managerial skills, that's what the SEMA qualification offers in comparison to some of the other professional qualifications in accountancy who will gear you up for a career in practice or career in audit. We're going to take you into business. And this is just an example of the type of role that you can do with SEMA. So hopefully you look at this grid and there will be things that stand out to you, whether it's management consultant, whether it's CFO, whether it's finance director. You tell me, what stands out here for you guys? Are there any particular roles that you look at here and think, that's where I would like to get to, or that's where I would like to be? Or it could even be your next step. You can see there's finance graduate in there. There's finance analyst there, business analyst. Where would you guys, what particularly stands out to you on this grid here of job titles? Let me know. CFO, yeah, nice. Finance director, CEO, yeah, I like that. People are thinking big, as you should do. CEO, yeah, brilliant. Any others? Okay, so we've got pretty senior positions here. Someone said CFO, someone said finance director, someone said CEO. So we've got some finance roles and we've got, you know, the top role in a business. And what this grid represents is actually where real SEMA members are within business and companies. So these are all real life roles which you can go and progress onto in the future. So a lot of you may start here as a finance graduate. So you may do a finance internship or a finance placement and go on as a finance graduate to train to do your SEMA studies. But once you secure the qualification and it's yours, the sky's the limit. If you want to put in the work and you've got drive and you've got ambition, SEMA will give you the technical tools for you to progress to the most senior positions of companies. So we have many CFOs and many CEOs of organizations that come from an accountancy background and come from a SEMA background. But again, because we combine accounting and finance and business and management, you will find us, you can see us across a number of different roles inside and outside of finance. So it's not just the finance roles that you can see there, financial consultant, financial accountant, controller, director. There's also lots of general business roles there. Management consultant is not really a finance role, it includes finance. Business analyst, it's more of an analyzing data role, but that alludes to what SEMA is about. We analyze financial and non-financial information. You can see that there's marketing roles, there's HR roles, so there's a project management roles. So it gives you a lot of flexibility and a lot of exposure to the wider business to really open up opportunities in your future career. So this is why we're doing this session, right? Because wherever you want to go, whatever sector that you want to go into, there's going to be opportunities. And these are all SEMA employers. So these are all employers and examples of employers where there will either be internships, so summer internships, placement years. So if you want to do a year out in placement, if you're a first year, they may have some spring insight weeks or some first year internships, but also more importantly, the graduate roles. And it's the graduate roles where you're going to be sponsored to do the SEMA qualification. So they'll pay for, you'll be working full time, paid in full, and then they will be taking you through the SEMA qualification to qualify as a chartered global management accountant. And as you can see, because we're an accounting qualification for business, as I said, for industry, you can go into any sector that you want to. So I'm sure there are things here that particularly stand out to you. And at this point, what I want to highlight here is when you do consider employers and you do your research into employers, think about what you're passionate about. So let me know in the chat now, what are you guys passionate about? So outside of work, outside of university, what things are you particularly passionate about? Is it music? Is it football? Is it fashion? Is it giving things back to the community? Okay, gaming is a great example. Yeah. So again, gaming's a fantastic example. Football, food, okay, politics, amazing, music, interior design, fashion. Okay. The reason I ask this is whatever your passion is and your interest is, you can go and be a finance professional. You will find a SEMA person or a SEMA opportunity in any of those sectors. So if it's football, you can go into a football club and go into their finance department. If it's fashion, you know, you can see companies on here like ASOS and others, then you can go into there. If it's aviation, we work with British Airways, we work with Virgin, we work with EasyJet. You know, there's so many different opportunities. Gaming, there's so many. So we work across all of these sectors and you'll find a wealth of opportunities. And the reason that I mentioned passion is if you are passionate about an organization and a particular product or service, you know, if it's linked to what you're passionate about outside of work, that will really help you in the recruitment process. And we'll come back to that. But just very quickly, last couple of things on SEMA. The first one is, let's give you some real life examples. So we spoke about job roles, we spoke about employers. Let's link the two together. So Serena is a qualified accountant with SEMA. She's a chartered global management accountant, and she is a financial controller at Sky. So Sky have, just so you know, Sky have finance internships, and they also have a finance graduate program, which is open right now. Both of them are open, and the graduate program gives you the opportunity to study SEMA. And that's what Serena did. So she went on to their graduate program. She was sponsored to do the SEMA qualification, and then she's progressed on now to become a financial controller, and which is pretty much equivalent to a finance director. So I think it was Kemi, did you say you wanted to be a finance director? Wow. Go and check out Sky's graduate program, because that can literally take you to a senior position in finance. And you can see what she talks about here. My role at Sky is anything from boring. The company is very dynamic. It's always changing, and finance has a big part to play in that. So the business rely on the people that work within finance. They need, so whether they're in the marketing department, whether they're in the HR department, whether they're in the project teams, they have to rely on their finance colleagues to help them make the good decisions, because they know the finance people understand the numbers and they can put those numbers into context. So if a marketing manager says, well, what does this mean to this decision that I have to make, this marketing decision? As a SEMA accountant, you understand that. You don't just understand the numbers, you understand the marketing side of the business. You understand the operational side, you understand the people side. So you can apply all of these skills. Apologies, I've just had a message come through on my link. Another example here is with this gentleman called Hiren. So Hiren studied SEMA. He's a chartered global management accountant, but he actually didn't study SEMA, and he's never actually worked in finance. So he joined EY, and he joined their advisory arm, so their consultancy arm, and that's where he trained with SEMA. And he continues on as a qualified chartered global management accountant, but as a senior consultant. And you can see here, he talks about, I have many different roles and many different projects. So he doesn't do one thing. He's got expertise in finance, accounting, business, and management, and he applies that to wherever it's needed. So as a consultant, he goes out to different clients, and depending on what his clients need, he uses that expertise and he applies it in the right way to them. So that's really what SEMA is about, is it gives you a broad range of skills that you can go and apply to any business, any organization, or any function that you want to. So the skills that you develop from CIMA are within our syllabus, and this is our syllabus here. So I'm not going to talk too much about this, but I just want to highlight to you there's 3 pillars, and it's a mix of business content. So this is our enterprise pillar. So this gives you the business context in which you apply your numbers to. So this teaches you about technology within business and finance, how to manage people effectively, how businesses are structured, the operational side, the people side. It gives you all of that business context that you need to help inform decisions in the company. You then have our financial pillar, which is our core financial accounting content. So again, if you're studying accounting, you would know that at the core of all accountants' knowledge is your financial accounting, your financial reporting. So we cover all of that. We give you that financial expertise. And in the middle is our management pillar. And that is your management accounting tools and techniques. So it's about how you interpret financial information and bring that together with business information to give recommendations and inform decisions. So we're giving you all of that content. We're giving you the core financial accounting, we're giving you the business content, and at the heart of that is the management accounting to help you make decisions. All of our exams are computer-based. We've got 6,000 exam centers around the world, or alternatively, in reaction to the pandemic, you can now sit your exams from home with CIMA. So hopefully that's good news as well. So you don't have to go to an exam center. You can sit your exams from home. You don't have to leave your house to study and sit your exams and progress with CIMA, which I think was fantastic. A lot of our exams as well are on demand. So we have objective tests that test you on demand. So there's no exam date either. You choose when you want to sit your exam. They're all 90 minutes long. And the other exams that we have, and there's 3 of these are case study exams, and the case study exams come at each level. So these are these gray bars: operational, management, and strategic. And the case study exams are making sure that you can apply the skills that you've been taught. So what employers told us was, we don't just want people that can pass exams. We want people that, if they're going to do your exams, can they actually use this knowledge and this insight and these skills within our business? And that's what our case study exams do. They give you a real life business simulation and a scenario to apply the skills. So as well as exams, to qualify with CIMA, you do need to have 3 years practical experience. So this is work experience that you can gain before you start CIMA, during your CIMA studies, or after your CIMA studies. So if you are looking at internships or placements, that can add to the time that you need to qualify. If you go onto a graduate program, typically they're 2 to 3 years to make sure that you get that experience. So you don't need experience to secure a graduate role. You don't need to have relevant experience, but it can be a benefit. It can help you. So if you can get an internship or a placement, that can secure you a graduate role in the long term. And once you qualify with CIMA, you become an ACMA, an Associate Chartered Management Accountant, and also a CGMA. So you get 2 designations with the CIMA qualification. In terms of your exemptions, with CIMA, they're awarded by degree specialism. So depending on what you're studying, I know a lot of you are studying accounting, you'll be eligible for, it's going to be about 8 exemptions. You're going to be up to 8 exemptions. If it's business you're studying, economics, you'll get 4 exemptions. But we do recognize what you're studying during your time at university. So you may be eligible for up to completing half of our degree, of our program. So when you join and go into work, you're already halfway through based on what you've studied. And again, the good news is all exemptions with CIMA are free. So we don't charge you anything, or your employer, if you have an employer, anything for exemptions. And we're the first accountancy body to do that. So hopefully that's good news for you as well. So that's the CIMA journey, right? That's where we want you to get to. So right now you're here, you're at university, you are, your university is shaping you in terms of giving you the technical knowledge and insight that you need to be successful. You have people like myself and CIMA on hand to really supplement your university studies with more career-focused content to hopefully get you an internship or a placement and secure a graduate role. So when you graduate, you have an opportunity to then pass from the university over to an employer. And then the employer will sponsor you. They'll give you a job first of all, but they will then sponsor you and pay for you to do the CIMA qualification. So as we saw, if you're an accounting student, you'll have 2 more levels to complete with CIMA. You've done 2 at university, you do 2 once you go into an employer, and then you qualify. And once you've qualified with CIMA, that's your qualification, not your employers, not your universities. That's your qualification to take with you around the world. So there's a long journey, right, to go on. Some of you, all of you are sort of here at the minute. You're close on that road to, you're in between these 2, university and graduate. So what we want to do is to really accelerate that connection from university to employer. And that's what we're going to be doing now. So into the good stuff, right? What do employers want? What are the key things that they're expecting you to do if you're going to secure a job with them? And this is the feedback that we receive. If you are going to be successful in the job market, you need to understand the basics, and the basics need to be, you need to address these perfectly. So employers want students, number one, that are commercially aware. So people that understand the company, the job function, the industry, the sector that you're going into. They want you to have a good level of knowledge about their company, about their industry. If you're not going to do that and you're not commercially aware about the company that you're applying to, you're not going to be successful. I can guarantee you that. Number two, they want candidates with relevant transferable skills. So when you apply to jobs, they're not necessarily the large percentage of entry roles. So whether it's an internship replacement or a graduate scheme, they're not going to be asking for you to have relevant work experience. They're not going to be asking you that. That's going to be like 90%. Only very few graduate roles will ask you for work experience. What they're looking for are transferable skills. So there's going to be certain skills that they're going to expect you to have. So it could be communication skills, teamwork, leadership skills. But you would have developed them in a non-work environment. And that's what you need to think about. Where have I, or where can I develop skills that this employer is looking for? And we're going to come back to all of these points in more detail. And the last thing they look for is passionate and enthusiastic candidates. So students that can demonstrate or, put across to an employer that they're passionate about the organization, the product, the service, like I spoke about earlier, and they show a real enthusiasm as they go through the recruitment process, are going to be or going to have a much bigger and better chance of securing a job, because employers will look at your passion, and they will assess your passion in the recruitment process. So like I spoke about, think about what you are passionate about and find employers that link and align to what you are interested in, and that can really help you to secure your job. So moving on from this, just to share this with you, this is a bit of actually market research. So this was from a graduate member network survey. So this was a survey put forward this month, so in September, to graduate recruiters, and it asked them this question, which was asked was, what is the biggest headache that you find in the recruitment process typically? And there's lots of things here you can tell. Limited market knowledge this is from what they see from applicants. But the top two are one and the same thing, and they're the key point here. They find that when they have too many unsuitable people applying to them, and there's a lack of, they perceive there to be a lack of suitable applicants in the market. So that's interesting, right? We know that the amount of people that graduate versus the number of jobs there's a big mismatch there. There are a lot more people graduating than there are graduate jobs. So how can there be a lack of suitable applicants? Well, the reason that there are a lack of suitable applicants is because students are not ticking the boxes. Somewhere through the process, they are not ticking the boxes that employers expect them to have. So what we want to achieve today is to set out for you a process and some key points that you can follow in order to not be one of those candidates, to not be unsuitable and become a suitable candidate. So what you need to do in order to do that successfully is you need to dedicate time to do this properly. Applying for jobs, and especially graduate jobs and internships and placements, it can't be rushed because it's highly competitive. And if you're not taking the time to do it properly, there are going to be other candidates that will be. It's not impossible to secure a job. It's just about following a process and being disciplined. And as you can see here, preparing properly, planning your approach, and practicing certain elements of the recruitment process. Your preparation, your planning, and your practice is so key. Don't just have one CV and one generic CV and then copy and paste all of the answers onto all of your job applications. It needs to be specific. It needs to be tailored to the employer. So prepare, plan, and practice. And the first step for you to do that is to do your research. So explore your options. I'm not going to go into detail about this because we've already pretty much picked this up, right? Find companies, jobs, companies, industries that interest you. So think about your passion. If it's football, okay, which football clubs have finance departments? All of them. Okay, which ones have got job opportunities? Let me see if I can apply to Arsenal, to Liverpool, to whoever. But also when you're considering jobs, like I said, think of the industry that you're interested in. Go and look at the company's values as well and their behaviors, because a lot of companies will list their values on their website. This is a big tip for you because their recruitment processes are based around their values. So if you can demonstrate them through the process, that's going to help you secure a job. But secondly, consider the values versus your own personal values and your own personal preference, and think, do I believe in their values? Do they align with what I believe how work should be or how life should be? Because if they don't align, maybe it's not the best company for you. The next thing that you need to do, and this is a big part of your work, is to build up your commercial awareness. So this is pretty much researching the organization that you're going into. So do as much research as you can into the company, research into the role that you're going to be going into. So what am I going to be doing in the role? But also think about, how does this role, how does this feed into the wider business goal and its objective? How does it work with other functions within the company and the organizations? How does it work with marketing? How does it work with the operations side? Just see what you can find out. Find out as much information as you can. And beyond the company, look at the market and the industry that it works within. So, who are their main competition? What's happening in, for example, the retail industry that I need to know about? Are there any new rules and regulations that are going to come in that are really going to impact them in the long term? How is COVID impacting them? How is Brexit going to impact them? What you're starting to do is you start to build up a body of knowledge, right? A body of knowledge, a body of information that you're going to use when you apply to that business to show that you're knowledgeable. Lots of places where you can find it as well, right? Company websites, business news, BBC News, Financial Times, The Times. Go onto the socials, so follow companies on all of the social channels, on LinkedIn. They'll keep you up to date with what you need to know. So start to build up that knowledge, connect with people on LinkedIn, reach out to people on graduate programs, chat to them. Lots of places that you can find that information, but you want to be an informed candidate, a knowledgeable candidate. The next thing that you want to do is you need to research the recruitment process. So if I'm applying to a particular company, what is their process? What will I be doing and what will I be assessed on? So is it online applications? Is it psychometric tests? Okay, what type of psychometric tests? Is it psychometric tests, or are they games? Because some of you are going to come across gamification this year, and we'll talk a bit about that. If it's an interview, is it a Skype interview? Is it a pre-recorded interview? Okay, if it's pre-recorded, what platform are they using? And we're going to talk a bit about that as well, so don't worry if I'm rushing too much here. And last but not least, what are the skills that are in demand with this particular employer? So if I'm applying to this employer, what are the skills that they're expecting me to have to secure the job? And then I need to ask myself, have I already got those skills? And if I haven't, where can I develop those skills? Okay, so hopefully that makes sense so far. In terms of the skills, again, this was going back to the Graduate Recruiters Network member survey. The question here, what was asked for this survey here was, what skills are you particularly looking for in the recruitment process? So this is a broad brush because this is asking a lot of recruiters. But as you can see here, there's a lot of general skills that you can develop in your life. So I'm not talking about your working life, I'm talking about your life. So your life experiences, any life experience is a good experience. We've got things here like interpersonal skills. So your people skills, your communication skills, how you work with others, problem solving, team working, planning, organizing, business communication, commercial awareness is on there. So what you need to think about is, have I got these skills? And if I haven't got them, where can I develop them? So think about your life. Where can you develop these skills? It could be part-time work. So you might be working in retail. You might be working in your local Tesco's as an example. You're still developing your interpersonal skills. You're developing your team working skills. You may be part of a sports team. You may be, organize charity events. You may be, you may be a YouTuber as an example. Think of life experiences where you can demonstrate skills. Because as we heard earlier, businesses want relevant transferable skills. So what you're saying is, even though I've developed my team working skills playing football, I can transfer these skills from the football field into the workplace. Okay, I'm a parent. So if I am a parent, right, I've got 2 kids. Planning and organizing, I have to be planned. I have to organize. If I don't, then things are all over the place. I have to get the kids ready for school. I need to get my work in place, and my planning and organizing has to be on point. So if I was applying to a job, I might want to use that. If they ask me, well, where have you developed your planning and your organizing skills? I say, well, I'm a parent. I've got 2 young kids. I have to plan. I have to organize. I need to be a good communicator. I need to solve problems. So think about that. Any life experience is good experience. So let's quickly jump over to another screen. Just let me know. Can everyone see the grad club that I've moved on to now? If you let me know in the chat, whether you can see this, okay? Can everyone see the grad club screen? Yeah, brilliant. Okay. So like I said, if you haven't signed up to the grad club, go and sign up. Lots of good things on here. Again, I'll quickly run through. You've got a blog section. So you've got articles on here that we've just recently added this one here about Network Rail. They've got internships, summer internships, placement years, and they've got a graduate scheme. Online business game, commercial awareness, and a lot more. Case studies, but I want to go into the careers hub because this is the big focus, and we'll go into this. But you've also got the video library. So this is where all of the videos are. So you've got a virtual open day, video interview tips, psychometric tests. I know you was asking earlier. And this is where this session will go as well. We'll add this on there. But in the careers hub is where we post all of our jobs. And I can see jobs are already going on there as we speak because these weren't on there earlier. But you can see finance intern at Siemens, what I mentioned earlier, finance intern at Intel, finance graduate at ABP, finance opportunities at Iris, 2021 finance graduate program at American Express. You can see there's lots on there. Vodafone, NatWest, Sky, internship at American Express, internship at Schroders, internship at JP Morgan. So you can see lots and lots of opportunities on here. Amazon finance placement year. There's lots. Let's just click on this one. Let's go for the 2021 JP Morgan Finance and Business Management Analyst Program. So this is a summer internship that you can apply to if you're second years. There's also, just so you know, there's also their graduate program is on here as well. So if you click through to more jobs, there are literally more jobs that you can go through to. But let's have a very quick look at this, just to think about what I've spoke about doing your research. So if I'm doing my research, the first thing I'm doing is I'm looking at the job spec. So you can see here, this is a 10-week program. You'll be placed as a member of one of our finance teams where you'll work in one of the following functional groups. So I'm already getting some insight. They're telling me I'm going to be working in either business management, controller, financial analysis, and project management. You'll work on critical initiatives for senior managers, supporting public figures and learning what it takes to close the books for the month or quarter. Top performers will receive full-time opportunity at the end of the program. So did you see that? If you do well in this 10-week internship, you'll receive an offer to go on to their graduate program. And the graduate program is where you'll be sponsored to do SEMA as a full-time analyst. So you've already got some research here. So they're telling you these are the functions that you can go into. Business management, controller. So I can read this and I can start to build up my insight, and I can research this a bit further. So I can Google JP Morgan business management function or something along those lines. What else can I find out about these areas that I may be working in? Because I can use that when I'm applying to them. Maybe I tell them I've got a preference. So about you, what do they need to know? We want highly motivated individuals with a passion for producing financial analysis to help drive strategic business decisions. So you can see there, they want people that have a passion for numbers and working with numbers. So if you're studying accounting, that's a tick. Or if you're not studying accounting, how can you demonstrate that? And people that want to help drive key decisions. And this is why they work with SEMA, right? Because this is pretty much what SEMA does. So if you tell them, I'm interested in SEMA, I want to do a SEMA qualification, it really interests me, you're ticking that box. You're providing financial analysis to help drive strategic business decisions. That's what you do as a SEMA accountant. Again, there's lots of things there. So what they look from you, so key skills and interests include a well-rounded academic background is important. A 2-1 bachelor's degree or equivalent, should be your penultimate year study. Okay, that's fine. So they want a 2-1. But this is what's really interesting here. This is what we need to know. So what do they want? They want, number one, a passion for data analysis and accounting, ability to thrive in a dynamic and collaborative work environment. So collaboration is a key word that they've got here. So when I see collaboration, I'll start to think about teamwork, in those interpersonal skills, how I work with other people. They want a basic understanding of financial statements, accounting procedures, internal and external reporting and variance analysis. So if I don't know this through my degree, let me go and research that. I only need a basic understanding. Let me go and do some read up. So when I'm interviewed, I can talk about this. A well-rounded academic background with an interest in financial management. So again, they're showing that they want that interest in numbers. Excellent leadership and interpersonal skills. So now we've already got something here. So now I need to think about, okay, where in my life can I show that I've developed my leadership skills? Is it at university? Is it at work? Where can I show I've developed my interpersonal skills? They want Excel, PowerPoint, and Word proficiency. So how can I show that to them? Maybe I go on to LinkedIn, or I go to SEMA and I do an Excel course, a free course, or a PowerPoint course, or a Word course. I can put that on my LinkedIn profile. I can put that on my application. A leadership experience in school or community organization. So again, they're looking for leadership experience. So where can you show that you've got leadership experience? Have you organized events? Have you been part of a society at university? There's so many things that you could do. And the last thing that they say here is, beyond all of that, what we're most interested in are things that make you, your personal qualities, outside interests and achievements beyond academia that demonstrate the kind of person you are and the difference that you could bring to the team. So they are very keen for you to use life experiences to show a bit about you. Because what they're testing there is, does this person have the same type of values that we have? Can we see this person working with us in the long term? So don't be afraid to tell them a bit about yourself. And when you talk about things that interest you and your achievements beyond academia, weave in some of these things like interpersonal skills, leadership, all of these things that they're looking for on there. I've got a question that come in. Okay, perfect. Does that all make sense to everyone? Yeah. So far, so good. Brilliant. Okay, so I'm just going to dig a little deeper now. So I've clicked through again, and now let's see if I can zoom this in. I've clicked through. Hopefully you're still with me. I've clicked through to the JP Morgan website. So this is the actual website. Oh God, this is not great. Bear with me. I'll zoom out again. So this is what we've just read on the SEMA website, and now it's just on there. Everything that we've just seen. Application deadline, by the way, is 29th of November. I wouldn't leave it till November. If you want to apply for this, I would apply over the next few weeks, because if they get a good number of candidates apply, they'll close the program. So bear that in mind. Deadlines are artificial. So what's next? So this is more information here. So this is helping us understand what we have to do. Help us learn about you by submitting and complete a thoughtful application, which includes your resume, so your CV. Your application and resume is a way for us to initially get to know you. So it's important to complete all relevant application questions. So a formal application. That's when you're going to start to talk about your skills, your commercial awareness, and all of these things here. You see here, if you're advanced to the next step, so if they're happy with your application, you'll receive an email invitation to complete a series of 12 games through the Psychometric platform. So you can see here, they're talking about games that you're going to play. And these are psychometric tests, but they're in the form of games. So I would go and Google Psychometric platform. What is this platform? It's probably a company that they use. So you can try and find out what type of games that you're going to be playing and what type of skills are they assessing you on. So following that, you'll receive another email to complete a video interview powered by Higher View. This is an opportunity to further bring your resume to life to showcase your experience. So you can see you're going to be doing a video interview through Higher View. We're going to talk about Higher View. That's a pre-recorded platform. So now I need to go and research a bit more about Higher View and the platform, and I need to research video interviews and how I can prepare for that. And we've got that video on the Grad Club as you saw. So there you go. So you've got that. There's at the minute, there's no mention here about an assessment center. But we are seeing lots of businesses shift their assessment centers to virtual, so Zoom and other things like that. But right now we know what skills they're looking for. We know a bit more about the job and where we could be working. We know we're going to have to do gamification and psychometric tests. We know we're going to have to do a Higher View video interview. So now we can start to tailor our approach to this business. So look, Kemi's asking, how do you adjust your CV to match the job description to give an edge over other applicants? And that's exactly what we're going to do now. So let's get back to the slide deck. Hopefully that's gone back okay. So the reason that I show you that is through doing your research. Can everyone see the slides okay? Just to check before I jump into it. Perfect. So the reason that we've taken a lot of time there to talk about doing your research, right? Identifying the employer, building up your commercial awareness, identifying the skills that they're looking for is because we need to tailor our approach when applying to them. If we don't tailor it, we're not going to show passion, we're not going to show our commercial awareness, and we're not going to tick the relevant boxes. So Kemi, to your point, your CV and your application, in the case of JP Morgan, it has to be tailored. So how do we tailor that? Well, the job description has already told us we want interpersonal skills. We want you to have Excel skills, PowerPoint skills. We want you to have leadership skills. We want to know a bit about what you're interested in outside of university. So that's how you tailor your CV. So so what else did they ask for? We want people that are good with numbers and financially astute. So if you're studying accounting or you studied accounting, talk about those modules. At university, I'm studying accounting and finance. They want people that are interested in financial analysis. On your CV, you talk about, in the long term, I want to study the SEMA qualification. They're looking for leadership and interpersonal skills. So if you've got part-time work in Tesco, don't talk about stacking shelves or being on the tills. What skills are you developing being on the tills? Well, actually, I'm developing my customer service skills, my people skills, my communication skills. I'm actually a team leader in Tesco's, you could say. So I'm developing my leadership skills. Oh, one of my hobbies is football. I'm a captain of a football team. So I'm developing my leadership skills. I'm developing my communication skills, my interpersonal skills through that. Does that make sense to everyone? So it's all about tailoring your application and your CV based on the job description and based on the research that you've done into the company. So you've learned about their mission, their goal, their objectives, their values. Tailor it. That's how you stand out, Kemi, is you tailor it so it ticks the boxes of all of the key requirements that they ask for. In the online application as well, you may be asked some questions of why you're applying to us. So why JP Morgan? Why a finance analyst? And this is where you start to bring to life your commercial awareness. So give them, and through your research, you will find a reason that justifies why you're applying to that company. And that's what makes you stand out as well, from being knowledgeable about the company and the organization. Is that okay with everyone? The next step on the road then is your psychometric test or your gamification. And again, we'll talk about that now, actually. We'll jump into that. And then after that, you'll have video interviews in assessment centers. So your video interview or your interview can be tailored, and we'll talk about that, and your assessment center can be tailored. Your psychometric tests are not necessarily tailored. They're a lot more about practice. And just to go back, Kemi's asked a question. So to see beyond the routine or job title, you mean? Exactly. What if you go back to the 3 points that I said earlier? I said the 3 things that employers want are: number 1 was commercial awareness. Number 2 was relevant transferable skills. So they don't care if you worked at Tesco's. They don't really care about the job. What they care about is what skills did you develop in that job or in that hobby that you can bring to our business. So again, in the case of JP Morgan, they want people that are good, have a passion or an interest in financial analysis. So you could say, okay, well, I study courses, or I'm studying a degree in accounting. They want people that have leadership skills. Well, I did that in my part-time job, or I did that at university in a society. That's what you have to do. Don't focus on the job title or the routine things that you did in that job. What skills are relevant from an employer, the employer that you're applying to, that you're going to transfer that over to. So hopefully you're all with me with that. Then you move into your psychometric tests. So there are lots of different types of tests that you could face. These are the most common ones. You've got your verbal tests. You've got your numerical tests. So these are all what you can see on the right-hand side here, where you're given a question and you either have to look at verbal information, so a block of text, and you have to find an answer. So it's about how you problem solve, how you decipher information accurately and quickly. Numerical is going to be, as you can see here, graphs, financial information, bar charts. Very similar. You need to very quickly look at how you can decipher the financial information. At the bottom there, you've got logical reasoning tests. So this is about your decision making and your problem solving, how you see logic in various, sometimes seeming unusual patterns and shapes. And you've also got your situational judgment test there, which is they're more business related scenarios. So they'll give you a scenario like you're working in it's your first day at work and you receive an email from your manager, from the admin team and your CEO. This is what they're asking. In what priority order would you reply to the email? So they want to see how you're going to react. And then you've also got personality tests, and personality tests are always linked to a company's values and their behaviors. So again, if you've done your research and you know what the values are, you can't fake, well, you can fake a personality test, but I wouldn't recommend you to do that because you want to find a company that's best fit for you. So don't fake a personality test. If you don't pass because of a personality test, then it's not the right test for you. It's not the right company for you. But what you've also got this year, as we saw with JP Morgan, is you're going to have gamification. What you've got on the screen here are examples of them. So you can go and practice these and you can research these. I recommend you to. They're just a slightly different way of testing you, like a psychometric test. Like if you have a numerical test, it's quite clear that it's testing your numerical ability, but also your problem solving skills, your decision making. These sort of games put you in a more relaxed environment to test very similar skills. So a lot of these skills will test your risk taking, will test your problem solving, will test your decision making, but they'll be more in a relaxed gaming environment. So you can go and practice these. Like I said, you can download the brain training apps and do things like that to prepare you for these games so you can be more accurate in your approach. But go and research these and go and have a play around, because there's lots of employers will be using these in the marketplace. But the best thing for all of these tests, so whether you're doing numerical, verbal, situational judgment, logical reasoning, gamification, the biggest and best thing that you can do is practice. The more that you practice, the better that you're going to become. And at the bottom of this slide here, you can see I've got 10 links that you can click through to. So I'll share these slides with you. You can go and practice psychometric tests and really hone in your ability to be successful. Because the more that you practice, the more that you research, we spoke about research earlier, you can understand the types of tests that you're going to be facing. You can work out timings for tests. So how long do I have to answer questions? You can understand and have a strategy to approach these exams as well. But also the top bullet point there is equally as important. So on the day of you doing psychometric tests, make sure you're in a good physical and mental shape. So have a good night's sleep. Wake up and have a good breakfast. Be good, feel good physically and feel good mentally, because that's only going to help you with your success in these tests. So moving on, because I know we're going to run over time now, because I'm talking away. I do get carried away when I get into employability. We're going to do a very quick practice. So we're going to practice some tests. We're going to start with numerical, and I want you to put what you think the answer is in the chat box. So the first one we're going to start with is numerical. Here's the question. Over to you. What do you think the answer is? And yes, I will send out these slides to you. Don't worry. Everyone will receive the slides. Okay, we'll stop there. What do we think the answer is, guys? That's 30 seconds, which doesn't seem a lot of time, but for this type of question, you should be, through practice, you should be answering this in about 30 seconds. I'll explain why. But what do we think the answer is here? D, yeah, okay. Anyone else? And don't worry if you don't know, this is just practice and this is just raising awareness if you've not seen them before. So the correct answer is D. And again, with these type of questions, with psychometric tests, they may give you a lot of information as we can see here, but not all of it may be relevant. So in this case, they're asking how many calories originated in fat will be consumed when eating 1.5 cups of product X. So what the big part of psychometric tests is, what are they asking me? What's the question? And that's what I always start with. Before I look at data, what is the question they're asking me? So how many calories originated in fat? So I can find that here. Calories from fat is 30. And I need to know how much calories from fat will I consume when I eat 1.5 cups of product X. So how many cups does this graph contain? Well, this serving size is half a cup. So this information is based on half a cup. I need 1.5 cups. So I times 30 by 3 to get my answer. So hopefully that makes sense. Oh, sorry. Does that make sense to everyone? Exactly, yeah, 0.5 times 3. So you can see lots of irrelevant information. Focus on what's the question that they're asking me. Where can I decipher that information? That saves you time. On average, psychometric test, you're usually given, on average, around 60 to 90 seconds per question to answer. I only give you 30 seconds because what you need to do is there's going to be easier questions and there's going to be more challenging questions. But the easier questions like this one, we need to be answering them as quick as possible. So if we have a challenging question, we can extend the time that we have to spend more time and answer that properly. So I know there was another question asking about, if I'm slow with reading. The more that you practice these, honestly, the more that you practice these, the quicker that you will naturally start to read what they're asking, pull out the relevant information and answer them. So let's very quickly move on. Is everyone okay to continue beyond 1 o'clock? Because I realize I've only got a few minutes left and I've got a bit more for you to talk to you about. If you can't stay, the session will be recorded, so don't stress too much. I'll get the recording on the Grad Club for you. Okay, so the next one for you is here. So another 30 seconds. Let's go. Answers in the chat box. Okay, we've got 10 more seconds. Okay, so that's time up. Let's have a look what we've got. So we've got one person that answered in time. They went for D. 5D5. Exactly. That is the answer. Exactly. And again, what we do is, what are they asking us? So they were saying, assuming children group is 50% boys and 50% girls, how many more males swam at the beach in 2006 than in 2005? So half of this data is irrelevant, or over half. 2003 and 2004 is irrelevant, and the women data is irrelevant because they're asking how many males. And you can see the question says males, the children is made up of boys, and the graph says men. So they're all alluding to males, but they're using men, boys, children, and males. Sorry, yeah, I'm throwing this. So they're using different words to throw you. But it's quite a simple piece of work that you have to do, right? You need to add the grey men number with half of the child number to get how many males you've got swimming in there. So you do that one and you do that one. It's 75 and it's 70, which gives you your answer, which is D is 5. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone. Again, another easy one. Let's do one more numerical, then we do a couple of logical reasoning. So here's your next one. Again, 30 seconds, see what you think. Okay, we have 5 seconds. Okay, that's time. What do we think on this one? This one looks more challenging, right? Let me know what you think. What was the answer? Does anyone know? I had no one answer that one. You can say, I don't know as well. So we've got one person said A. I think it's A. So again, lots of information here, right? Lots of information to look for. Let's go through the process. So the first process is, what is the question asking me? Which department has the greatest percentage increase between 2010 and 2011? So from here to here. So the 2012 projections is irrelevant. The next thing I want to do in this case is, what you can ask yourself is, are there any of the options, so A to E, that I can eliminate before looking any further? So it's asking for a percentage increase. And what I can see is, if I look at all of these options, only A, B, and C increase. Department for Worker Pensions, Department for Health, and HM Revenue and Customs. All the others decrease. The next thing that I need to do is, can I visually see the answer? So I can look at numbers. Department of Work and Pensions goes from 160 to 166. Department of Health goes from 105 to 106. Revenue and Custom goes from 45 to 46. So they increase by 1. This increases by 6. So my answer is going to be Department of Work for Pensions. If I couldn't visually see that answer, then I would go to calculations. So doing your calculations in a psychometric test should always be the last thing that you do. Look at the question. What's the question asking me? Can I see the answer? If not, can I eliminate any wrong answers? Then can I visually see the answer? If not, let me do my calculations. That's how you save time, and that's your strategy. So let's move on to a logical reasoning. So shapes and patterns. The top line is the sequence. So it goes from one to the next one. What would be the next square in the sequence between A, B, C, D, and E? So have a look and let me know. What do we think? C, okay. D. B, okay, we've got all sorts. Anyone want to go for A and E? And we've got a full house. So that's 30 seconds for this one. And psychometric, so when it comes to logical reasoning can be the most challenging because it does take a minute to get your head around these. And for me personally, these were the most challenging, but then they become a lot more easier the more that I look at them and the more that I practice them. So the correct answer here is D. And again, these are all about patterns and sequences, right? And there are 3 sequences here. There's a sequence with the first shape, the second shape, and the third shape. But if we just start with the first shape, it goes, the triangle is on the left, the triangle then moves to the right, then there's no triangle. Then it goes back to the left, it goes back to the right. So based on that, I would believe the next one would have no triangle. So the only one with no triangle is D. So automatically, I think the answer is D. I can double check that. So if I look at the bottom shape, the diamond, it goes gray, gray, white, gray, gray. So the next one would have to be white. So that is also D. And then we can look at the shapes here: circle, triangle, rectangle, circle, triangle, rectangle. So that brings me to D. So all of the links match up. But I could have just done the triangle and got to my answer. Okay, next one and last one before we go into the final bit of the session. Another logical reasoning. What comes next in the sequence? You let me know. 30 seconds. Okay, 10 seconds left. Okay, and that is time. That's 30 seconds. What do we think? Somebody said B, I believe. I don't know if that was for this one or the last one. A. Okay. So there is a couple of things going on. One of them is irrelevant. It goes white, blue, because there's no blue option. So that goes out the window anyway. And then the next thing is to understand, well, what is the pattern here? And in this case, the answer is B. And the pattern in this case is the number of 3-sided shapes increases through the pattern. So the first one has 1, the triangle. The second one has 2 3-sided shapes or 2 triangles in the box. The next one has 3, 1, 2, 3. The next one has 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the next in the pattern has 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's your answer. Somebody said, wow. And some of you would have seen that and thought, okay, that's not too bad. Some of you will be like completely, what the is this? How on earth am I going to get through these tests if this is what they're asking me? They are challenging. They're meant to be challenging. But the whole purpose of what I'm showing you today is to let you know these are the type of tests that you could face. And what you need to do is you need to go away and practice them. So a year ago or over a year ago, I wouldn't have been able to answer this question. But having looked at these for a year, and I'm not saying you have to do it for a whole year, but the more that you do it and the more that you look at these tests, the better that you become. And if you, I don't know if you're already connected with me on LinkedIn, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, because on LinkedIn, I post psychometric tests every Monday. So every single Monday, I will post a new test. And you can even go and search on LinkedIn. If you search psychometric test time and search content, you will see all of my posts. There will be probably close to 100 now that you can go and practice on there as well. So you can go and put your answer in the comments, and I can let you know if you got it right or not. So feel free to go and do that. So why I'm highlighting psychometric tests today is, don't be scared by them. Don't be worried by them. Go and practice, go and read. If you don't take the time to do that, then you will be scared and you won't enjoy your experience with an employer. Okay, so the last couple of bits, if you're doing an interview, whether it's face-to-face, very likely, right, it's going to be online, it's going to be live or pre-recorded, it has to be tailored. So in terms of your questions that you're going to be asked, you can preempt the type of questions that you're going to be asked. Because go back to the 3 points that I said at the beginning. And the reason that I'm repeating myself, because it's a consistent process. Your interview will be based on questions on, number one, your commercial awareness. Number two, the skills that they're looking for, the transferable skills that they expect you to have that you've developed in your life experiences. And three, your passion and your enthusiasm. So for example, commercial awareness. They'll ask you questions like, tell me why you want to work with JP Morgan. Who do you think our competitors are? Tell us something that you've read about us in the news recently that's interested you. They could say, why are you applying to this particular role in finance as a finance analyst? That's testing your passion, your enthusiasm. You know, do you enjoy numbers? If it's your skills, they'll say, tell us about something in your life where you've had to lead a group activity. So it's testing your leadership skills. So again, we've done our research, right? We've done our research. We've built up our commercial awareness. We've got the skills from the job description. So my preparation for the interview is based on that. It's tailored, I'm prepared. Then it's just all about the format. So is it going to be a live interview? If it's live, then it's really no different to a traditional face-to-face in terms of you're answering questions in real time. You can build up a bit of a rapport and engagement with the interviewer. You're having a chat with them. You can have a conversation. And it's going to use a platform like Google Hangouts, like Zoom. So just be prepared for that. I'm sure you'll be fine with that because you're all comfortable, hopefully, with using that. But the more commonly used process with big employers is going to be a pre-recorded video interview. So you saw JP Morgan use this company here, HireView. There's lots of different companies that are used. And these are external providers that produce an automated interview process for an employer. So literally, you're not being interviewed by anyone. You're given, on average, a 30-second question. So a question pops up for 30 seconds, and you have 2 minutes to answer that question with a pre-recording. So you submit a recorded answer to them. So you're answering, or you're presenting an answer to an interview question to yourself. Does that make sense? So you're looking at yourself like you're doing like you're recording something for Insta or for YouTube. You're looking at yourself when you're answering a question. So be prepared for that. Go and do your research and start practicing how you look, how you sound through your phone or through your laptop, because that's how you're going to be assessed. Look at your body language, look at your eye contact. You need to be looking at the camera, not looking at yourself on screen. You need to be using open body language. You need to be smiling. They can utilize artificial intelligence. So they'll know if you're looking at the camera. They'll know if you're smiling. They will be looking for keywords. So use all of the keywords from the job description to help you. So go and research more about that. And the last thing in the process after all of that is the assessment center. And the assessment center, like we said, could very likely be online as well. So you could be on like a Zoom meeting like we're doing now, and they break you out into breakout rooms and you do a group activity, you have a group discussion, a debate. And what the assessment center is all about is the demonstration, the practical demonstration of skills. So through the recruitment process, you showed them that you've got leadership skills, maybe through your application, through stories in your interview. You've done your psychometric test to show them that you've got sort of numerical ability. So you've given them life experiences. The assessment center is saying, let's now demonstrate and prove it, basically. You said that you're a great leader, but you could have made that up. So in the assessment center, I want you to prove that. I'm going to put you in with a group of people that you don't know, and you now need to demonstrate these skills to these people. So that's what you need to think about. In the assessment center, regardless of the activity, whether it's a case study, whether it's a debate or discussion, you need to think about, there are people in this group that are assessing me, they're watching me. How am I demonstrating the skills to them in the right way? So how can I demonstrate that I've got good interpersonal skills? Well, you make sure that you speak up in the group, right? You make sure that if there are people that are quiet, you ask them to speak up, you encourage them to come off mute, you encourage people to put on their cameras, you call people out by name. If you come up with an idea, say, what does everyone else think? Think about the team all the time. This is my idea, but what does everyone else think? Do you agree with that? In terms of show your leadership. A big part of demonstrating leadership in assessment centers is going to be facilitating the group. So what do I mean by that? Is coming up with ideas. So guys, we've got half an hour to do this piece of work. How do we want to go about this? How are we going to manage our time? Do we want to split into groups? Do you want to pick up that and I pick up this? Oh, John, you've not said much. Is there anything that you want to add? So it's all about teamwork, and it's all about demonstrating the skills. So think about that. How can I show these employers that I've got the skills that they're expecting me to have? So think about it. How can I demonstrate that in an appropriate way? And that's the recruitment process. Listen, it's very tough. It's very challenging. But if you put in the groundwork at the beginning in terms of the research, the planning, the practice is so important. So practice video interviews, practice psychometric tests, practice assessment centers. Your universities will have assessment centers for you over the coming weeks and months. It's going to make this a lot more of an easier transition for you to get through this process. And not all employers will follow exactly this, but this is sort of your generic process. So to help you further beyond today, I will share these slides with you. I'll send them out by email, and I will put this recording up on the Grad Club. So if you want to watch it again, you can do. As you've seen on the Grad Club, there's lots more content on there for you. You've got your other webinars. So I've got a whole session on there about video interviews. I've got a whole session on there about psychometric tests and a lot more. So feel free to go and access that. Like I said, it is free, and you've got all of those jobs to go and apply to. I think that's the biggest incentive, right? I'll stop the recording now.